Alright, hello everyone and welcome to game number 4 of our day 4. What is this map in our FFA tournament? What is happening? I don't know how to handle this, guys. What is this actual map right now? Okay, so the northern half of the map doesn't exist, right? Like that's just not there. Everything above the dry ice is a wasteland. It is not worth considering, except for maybe this one tile right here. And King Morgan is going to be the first one to take a spot. He's going to take $42,000 of debt, but look what he gets in return. Now the thing is, guys, what he's basically getting for this is the fact that he gets to put down a steel triangle. Or no, nobody's going to take this spot. Nobody's going to take this spot. Look, guys, I know there's no triangle here, but come on. Alright, so King Morgan clearly has, it's basically what I would stylize as a scientist's wet dream going on right now. He's basically found flowing water on Mars is what he's done over here. And so he is going to be in a very strong position in terms of his tiles, but he has $43,000 of debt. And of course, on top of that, there's going to be a giant target on his back. He's going to have to worry about that. Black Magic, on the other hand, he found a pretty decent scavenger spot. It's got very strong carbon, very strong aluminum right next to his base, which is great, but not a lot of space to maneuver his tiles. Only really other good thing it has going for it is these two geotherms very, very close to the base. But as you can see, the water is very far away. The silicon is very far away up here. And so that's why it doesn't really compare in my mind to these scientific locations that were available. Alright. Auction. First auction of the game. We'll get through that and we'll talk black market for a moment. Hydroponos is just in a very awkward spot. He made a very spite play here. And it could work out okay, but it's a little bit weird. Alright guys, get through the auction. You can do it. I believe in you. 16,000, 18. Come on. You all know you're going to spend at least like 18, 20,000 on this. You can just rush it up there. It's okay. 4,000. There we go. 24,000 on over to Soren, who I believe founded pretty late. Yeah, Soren was the last to found. So he's basically up 2 claims right now. He has 5 claims total to spend on HQ level 2. If I'm correct in that he was the last one to claim with that extra claim purchase. So he's going to be in a pretty solid position. There's his other one, this empty aluminum tile, which he should get a mine on top of that instead of worrying about. Yeah, there you go. Get that mine going. And then he's got 1 claim left over to take some water or something if he wants it. Alright, so black market. We do have mules this game, which is pretty important, I think, with the price of aluminum where it's at right now. And the fact that, like, King Morgan doesn't have any aluminum coming in from what I can see. He's got this geotherm instead, so he could just grab a mule and start pulling in aluminum from these low tiles near him. Could be a pretty decent idea. So that is relevant. Magnetic storms, power surges, network virus, underground nukes, dynamite mutiny, and goon squad are all available. So that's interesting to see. That's an interesting collection there. 3 single target attacks here with the nuke, the dynamite, and the mutiny. Gonna be interesting to see exactly how those work out long term. I mean, you could do something really mean like nuke the carbon over here. You could try nuking out some water or something over here, but of course you're nuking a scientist and that's just generally less effective. Nukes on aluminum could make some degree of sense if you hit the right stuff. But I'm not seeing it for now. I don't know. Hard to know exactly how to utilize that black market. It's a lot less straightforward than when it's just like adrenaline boost, EMP, power surge, pirates. That's really obvious most of the time. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. How much glass is that?
I've never seen such
oh man, nobody's gonna.
We'll have more
how much glass was that? Not on Soren. There's a lot of glass still. I thought I was on Soren for some reason. You gotta be careful with things like that. Like, What's even worse to me now is when a magnetic storm is in the game. Let's take a moment and talk about this concept. When a magnetic storm is in the game, you can try and stay safer from it by just sending a truck, letting it land, sending a truck, letting it land, sending a truck, letting it land. So you never have more than one of your valuable trucks in the air of the same type at any given moment. On top of that, they'll probably be refilling on oxygen at different times as well if you do it right. And so you only have one oxygen truck in the air. You can make this kind of thing work, even though I hate seeing glass away from your base. But you got to be careful about it. You can't just have them all launch simultaneously all the time. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know why Mohawk has made this decision, if it's a bug or what. These show as full when they're not, so it's hard to judge the value of the magnetic storm, which I absolutely hate. I hate that. But it still wouldn't be a bad hit for just like $1,000, just bam, blow up 60 glass. Seems like a pretty nice move to me. Regardless, other things have been happening. Black Magic has managed to push to HQ level 4, not really surprised there. Glass has never gotten too expensive this game, as people have been producing it. Soren in particular has been making glass this whole time, so it has never gotten too expensive. And on top of that, he's got plenty of carbon, he's got plenty of aluminum, just to fly through things very effectively. So I'm not surprised he's pushed HQ level 4. I would expect him to maybe use this food to buy up some stock, play it a little safe here, but then at that point be pressing on to HQ level 5 very quickly. He may be rushing to 5 right now. Dangerous. But if you can hit 5 and everybody else is still kind of stuck back at 3, that might be okay. He might be so far ahead he can get away with just that simple rush to 5 that it looks like he's going for. There it is. HQ level 5. With everyone else still back at 3, Soren has managed to figure out how to get into massive numbers of debt, aka sending resources from everywhere and ever building power. Pretty much the standard Soren play at this point. Whereas King Morgan, he has not found a good way to use this territory. He's got all this silicon sitting around that he's not really able to use very effectively. And I think that the real stumble for King Morgan, though, was this on HQ level 2, this geotherm. You can't do that. That is not an acceptable play, ever. And you will get absolutely murdered for it. It is 120 steel. 120 steel being committed to this geotherm on HQ level 2. That's almost enough to hit HQ level 3, basically, on its own, right? That's just... It's so much steel, guys, and you can see that King Morgan, he's never really recovered from that stumbling block he created for himself. Other than that, he's had perfect territory to utilize. Maybe just too afraid of the debt that he started with and paid for it with. And not able to use the territory appropriately because of it. Alright. Virtual reality auction, always a bit difficult to figure out. It is being fought over a bit more this game than in the others. Power is already very, very cheap. And it is going to go ahead and go over to Soren immediately. He is going to want to make use of that very, very quickly. I would in fact encourage him to cancel this geotherm claim. At $39 power, just throw down the dome. Just throw down the dome and let it cover your debt for now. And that's okay when power's down at $38 and this solar flare is still going on, which is going to drive power down further when day comes potentially. I mean, there are good reasons not to be doing this right now. One of them being that's 120 steel flying through the air. Just throwing it out there, guys. Just throwing it out there. D levels of debt for Soren. Not where you want to be. Alright, Black Magic has got dry ice condensers coming up. Those could be pretty nice during the solar flare. A lot of carbon, a lot of oxygen in his pocket. And it looks like he might be, with this kind of play, headed to a very quick off-world. So let's check those prices. Also worth noting that water is stupid and people are burning a lot of money because of it. Okay. $364 again for water. $364 price. $549 for food is what we're going to be looking at. Nothing else really worth talking about too much. Steel at $362. Chems down at $360, and electronics $428, and glass up at $389. So The off-world markets are going to be pretty good this game. One strong send with the food, and then a bunch of other things that have the potential to be good. At worst, you're probably going to be sending water at 364. So that's going to be a pretty solid building here. Now, there was some dynamite getting utilized. Soren's patent office getting blown up. Nobody wants him getting that dealt with. And at least Soren is using his massive amounts of debt appropriately. He is choosing to buy up stock in himself. And that is going to be very, very helpful. He is not going to be paying a lot of money for that. It gets him nice, safe, and secure for the future, hopefully, and will allow him the opportunity to recover this game. Now, Black Magic has not managed to do anything impressive with his early upgrades. He still is only sitting on about $50,000. He just hasn't managed to convert that super fast HQ level 5 into anything relevant. Like, at all. I mean, it's just... He's sitting on a little more money than everybody else, but realistically, it hasn't been enough to really justify that. Finally we see a move from him. He did decide to just rush into the off-world market as fast as he could pull it off here. Maybe a bit of an overcommitment to the carbon, though. A little dry ice was okay. 5 or 6 dry ice, which is what he threw down, was not what he should have been looking for at that stage of the game. Soren, please put down a pleasure dome. I'm going to kill someone if you don't. That's an engineering lab. That's not a pleasure dome. Someone has to die, and it's all Soren's fault. Alright. King Morgan over here with his amazing territory still has not managed to move to HQ level 5 himself. He does have a patent office down, but of course Soren's has been running for much longer. Unfortunately for Soren, financial instruments does not work on your own debt interest, so it's not going to be all that great for him right now. But carbon scrubbing has its uses. Teleportation clearly strong when you have territory set up with so much of it away from your base. So that's going to be nice for him, and he is of course moving into thinking machines at this point. Whereas King Morgan has selected superconductor, so they're both going to get what they want in the moment. King Morgan has picked up nanotech and is now heading into perpetual motion. I have to question the idea of going into these power techs when chems are at $200 and power's at $12, but you know, I'm not in the game. I'm not playing in the tournament. I'll shut up for the time being, I suppose. Offworld is launching food at this point. A very nice send. Good $40,000 off of that each time, considering fuel is negligible and aluminum is effectively negligible when you're sitting on 600 of it. So that'll work out just fine for him. Absolutely great black off-world market. He's going to be able to secure himself and then possibly start attacking someone like Soren, which would get rid of... The reason I love attacking Soren, although he is buying up a lot of his stock at this point, first of all, Soren is in massive levels of debt, right? He's down at that D bond rating, still, causing him huge problems. Soren is attacking other people, so he has a lot of stock spread around other people, so he is relatively cheap. And then on top of that, he's got all this patents. And if you can knock those out of the game and just say, nobody else gets those, I don't have to fight those anymore, I can have them if I want, you end up in a pretty great spot. And finally the pleasure dome comes down. Ugh, that took long enough. But what is Black Magic actually going to do? He's going to choose the, I want to turn my off-world market into an off-world market route. I hate that. I actually hate that, like down in my bones. I think that's wrong. You can get aggressive against people, and once again, we saw this happening earlier, where I believe it was Black Magic himself who went for 2 off-world markets, right, as the scientist. I'm pretty sure that was Black Magic. He gets a massive lead to HQ level 5. He goes for the double black market play, and then gets mutinied to death and can't do anything about it. Now, this game, he's Scavenger. So it's a little bit different, but dynamite is still available here. He doesn't have either of these goon squadded. Now, goon squads are still very, very cheap, but... ah, man, he needs to be buying them. He needs to be doing more than this if he wants to make this double off-world play actually work, because he is, like, 100% going to be exposed at this point to a dynamite hit. And that starts ruining all of his plans and allows Soren more and more edges, more and more ways back into this game that he should have been shut out of. Hey, look, the pleasure dome is down. Look at all that debt it's paying off. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that just super amazing? $282 from entertainment, -1 from power. That's what you're going to be looking for. Built it in exactly the wrong place, but I think it just replaced a patent lab, so that's okay. You always want those closer to the colony, if you can pull it off, just because for whatever reason they're worth more when they're closer to the colony. Apparently people are happier the closer they are to home. I don't know. Maybe they like giant disco balls in their backyards. I'm not one to speak about that personally. Alright. Lots of engineering labs down at this point. We've got 3 of them available for these players. 1 each except for Hydroponos, who has gone once again for the double hacker array that are sitting there not doing anything move. Now, I like the double hacker array, but you gotta do something with it. Makes it a lot better when you actually use it. I know it costs some power, but it's well worth it at the end of the day. Alright, Black Magic is finally getting a little bit aggressive, but it's almost too little too late. He can only acquire 3 stock in anybody. And oh look, his off-world market is frozen. Who's surprised? Whatever. Alright, reactors pretty clearly the single best thing to have down right now, and only 1 player is in them. Everybody else churning through chems and making sure that fuel price stays high. Not really what you're looking for once again. Like, even with all this research, these chems are losing money right now. I mean, it's just... Soren has identified the whole reactor situation. He can stay in chems because he's kind of paying that... Well, I think he has carbon scrubbing, maybe. And that's what's letting him, yep, stay in the chems without losing too much money, so that'll work out for him okay. Making a transition into electronics on some nice tiles for that, not having to pay the silicon price is kind of nice. Now, Black Magic, he does have 2 off-worlds that are actually defended now. People aren't getting aggressive enough on him. I didn't like the idea of a freeze coming down here. And if people can get aggressive against him, then he'll be okay. But if not, we'll just have to see what happens. Launching food. Once again, that food launch is strong. So Black Magic, he has managed to secure himself enough. And perhaps King Morgan and Hydroponos not getting super aggressive here. It looks like Soren is attacking quite consistently. But let's just look at Black Market this game. Wow. So Clark, aka Black Magic, has only made 6 purchases, none of them aggressive. 5 goon squads and a mutiny. Against 2 scientists, it makes some sense. Herbert, only 2. Soren with 5. And then Asimov with 4. So King Morgan with 4, Hydroponos with 2. Nobody using that enough this game. I know it's an awkward one, guys, but come on. You can do something with it. Look at these power surges. Look at this dynamite and mutinies. And all this, like, nukes that you could throw at, like this tile here. Oh, it's fantastic. It's utterly fantastic. We've been here long enough that my fan actually turned on. Oh well. Apparently the house finally heated up. Alright, Hydroponos is now in D levels of debt. But Black Magic still doesn't seem to be anywhere near actually successfully killing him. Only sitting on about $170,000 right now. Hydroponos himself sitting on more than that. King Morgan still a little bit stuck, but has managed to move into 2 off-worlds himself. That's the play he went ahead and committed to. Soren has made no such move. No off-worlds down for him just yet, which I'm worried about. I kind of understand it, because he's just been in D levels of debt literally all game. Literally all game at this point. Soren's been in D levels of debt, and he might have been pushing, trying to get to a purchase and to help fix his debt situation, and before moving into off-worlds, seeing that he could get to, like, he had gotten to half of a buy already. He wanted to push to that other half, but he's really struggling to get there with these transitions. I do not like the engineering lab in combination with that. If that had been a hacker array, Soren almost certainly could have gotten the job done. But as an engineering lab, it doesn't provide that initial boost he would have needed in order to push through and actually bring down King Morgan, who is now having to rebuild both of his off-world markets because he built 2 of them. Black Magic only has 1 off-world market currently functional. The other one he mutinied back and then it got blown up out from under him. His defended tile is about to expire. Goon squads cost 50,000. It might have been too late that people got aggressive against Black Magic, but at least they decided to finally do it. He is very close to being able to purchase Hydroponos at this point. Hydroponos, no longer sitting on a large amount of cash, had to use that to pay down debt. And so he really has no edge, no teeth to work with here. Just a small amount of money, only about 120,000 at this stage. Not enough. So much debt to pay down just to try and stay alive. These hacker arrays, still non-functional. You gotta be using these if you're gonna build them. And I think he's going to get knocked out by black magic very, very soon here. More mutinies flying down, more nonsense flying around everywhere by everybody. Look at all these mutinies. Who ended up with that? Alright, well, black magic ended up with it back at the end of the day. Mutiny is finally getting a bit expensive, but of course you've still got dynamite to purchase up and explode things, and of course one of those lands almost immediately on black magic.
Look at all the money.
That's how it goes when you build 2 off-world markets. On top of that, food is getting expensive, so these launches get less and less valuable by the second, to the point of black magic is actually sending water. Actually less profitable than food at the moment, arguably. He's going to have to watch out for that. And I feel like there's maybe a resource being ignored down here. I guess those are still the best. No, they're not. Oxygen's better. Yeah, oxygen's better, fuel's a little better. Hard to manage the off-world market at this point in a lot of ways. Soren's still sending food very blindly. King Morgan is on the oxygen, so he identified that. You gotta give props to King Morgan for that at least. Soren is most of the way to being able to purchase King Morgan. Almost 80% of the way there. I expect him to do that as fast as he can, and then try to work with that to bring down black magic, while Hydroponos sits here struggling, having had to pay down so much debt, never sitting on enough money to make the hacker arrays work, never getting to commit to the off-world, and very close to being killed off by black magic, in fact. 95% on that. One more launch goes off, and that'll clean it up. Or perhaps even just a cancel could do it, depending on what it was exactly black magic is sending. Sitting on so much food right now. Trying to work with this food shortage. Alright, and it looks like people have been shorting food, which is very awkward when you're trying to launch food into the air. There's actually a surplus coming from black magic. I like that. Would have liked to see Hydroponos in a lot of ways just spam out food shortages the entire time. If these had just been spamming food shortages and like water surpluses simultaneously, he might have had a shot. Right now, though, he's looking a lot more nervous. Did black magic have to pay down debt? Is he that scared of Soren? Oh, yeah, that's what happened. King Morgan bought back all of his own stock, gave Soren a lot of cash, and suddenly Soren has a decision to make. Does he kill King Morgan, or does he kill black magic? And black magic is sitting on a lot more money right now, with a lot less debt. So in a lot of ways, it could make sense all of a sudden for Soren to just hold on, kill off black magic, then move through King Morgan, and let Hydroponos continue to kind of flounder. Oh, that launch barely went off. Soren can pick off 2 of the players right now. Is choosing not to, which I think is a great move because it encourages them to pay down debt, commit their money into places they not want to. They know they're dead if you want to kill them, but it offers up the opportunity to make a mistake. And he's sitting on 94%. These off-worlds are finally functional. So that's nice at least, but they're once again sending the wrong resource, as food has recovered and is the thing that needs to be launching by black magic in order to really make good use of these off-worlds. Now, Soren's off-world got knocked out by dynamite again. And he's not making a whole lot of steel. He's not in chems, which is where he would want to be already in order to finish this up. But he's very, very close to getting things done. Chems are, of course, artificially inflated right now by black magic, but still worthwhile potentially to put them down. Get more reactors down. Soren doesn't want to commit to anything, though. He's just trying to get the kill done right here and now. But oh, he is going to be forced, I think, to actually rotate a little bit before finishing things up. There we go. Seeing some electronics production come down. That's just fine. He is making sure to upgrade his food production for all that food he's producing right now. Whoa, and black magic moves into the buy on Hydroponos. That will secure him against Soren for the time being. I would have loved to see Soren go ahead and get that purchase onto Asimov. potentially he did not manage to push all the way to the buy that he needed on black magic, and that is definitely going to be a concern for him. He is wasting a lot of time right now pushing to that. He might have even paid down some debt at some point.
Look at all the money.
Not good enough if he didn't get that kill on black magic. We've got to see a little bit more out of him. Maybe he'll still keep pushing to it. Asimov is sitting on a scary amount of cash himself at this point, though. So that is someone you've got to watch out for with 2 off-world markets functional at this point. And I think a fair amount of tech as well. We can check King Morgan's tech. We see that he's got food completely researched. Please put down food, King Morgan. He's got good glass research, good fuel research. Whereas black magic, he doesn't have very much research done at all. Only 6 tech. So long term, it's hard to say who is the bigger threat.
Look at all the money.
But I wouldn't have blamed Soren for just immediately buying King Morgan after that black magic Hydroponos purchase. On the other hand, Soren could be thinking, as long as I knock black magic down, if he's managed to figure out who these players are, which once again you could probably do based on play styles that we've seen so far today, if you knock black magic out and you know who that is, you guarantee you get an extra chance even if King Morgan manages to kill you after the fact. So that could be some of what Soren is thinking right now, if he has managed to identify who is who. But you can see King Morgan, he is making ridiculous amounts of money at this point. Like, this is crazy. Absolutely insane.
Launched. Look at all the money.
And black magic is not sitting on any whatsoever. He doesn't have any money. He's been spending it on... Oh. Soren made the black magic purchase. I don't know if I like that. I honestly don't think that was the right call. He only gets a handful of claims for it. He only gets 8 claims out of actually making that purchase, and then some extra boost from HQs. He gets an extra boost to his stock because of HQ levels. But King Morgan's already making a pretty ridiculous amount of money. Steel is super expensive. Soren didn't really prepare for this buyout by knocking down that steel price at all, by overproducing steel a bit to push to it. So he can't easily build off-worlds. He can't easily build new buildings everywhere. And I'm very concerned about the position he's going to be in as we go to clean up this game. As you can see, he's still sitting on no money. No money. No money whatsoever. And these launches are just still going. They're still strong. King Morgan has been paying attention, launching the correct things this game. Definitely worth paying attention to. He might need to pay attention to debt at some point, but... And Soren does have a fairly large gap to pay off in debt, which is something he's probably going to want to do to keep this game going as long as it possibly can. But, oh, that freeze is going to hurt a little bit. Thinking Machine's coming up big for Soren right now, though. That off-world is only getting knocked out for a very small period of time. And as you can tell, this one engineering lab has been churning out great things for Soren, making him plenty of money everywhere. In food, now that he's finally back into it, look at all that cash. That's fantastic. Of course, his opponent is making just as much, if not more, in food right now. Then you've got the water going on, more food up here. And there we go. That's a virus coming on down, which guarantees some money loss for King Morgan. That's the fantastic kind of move that could pull Soren back into things. If he does that, and then I want him to stop selling for the moment. There's no reason for him to be selling, but he may actually pull this off in just a minute here. I think he's managed to do it with this carbon play in particular, and burning money here. I would love to see him purchasing carbon. Especially purchasing fuel right now would be a fantastic play. Just to magnify this virus if you purchase fuel. But I think regardless, he's going to go ahead and manage to clean all this up. All the food coming in. Made so much money off of that. And so much money off this carbon. All those things put together. Looks like they may have given it to him. He's looking for about 7,000 more dollars. He's just hitting that control shift down until he gets it. There's the red button. Okay, one more. There you go. And that's going to be the game. And the series. So Soren Managing to clean this up in 4 games for us. He is going to get to the second win, and he will be the one moving on to the finals. That was interesting. I thought maybe he gave King Morgan a window there, but King Morgan not quite able to actually finish things up and get it done. It was a good game. Told you, that chance, Soren, people gave Soren a chance to recover. He got it done. Yep, power causing problems at the end for sure. For sure, 286. $286 power there. Definitely let Soren push that by a bit faster. Alright. And Soren's calling, so I imagine we'll have a chat with him for a minute. Hello. Hello. Soren can't hear us, guys. We got one of those going on again. Oh, good. He's let me know he's calling.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can't hear me. Isn't this fun, everybody?
Zoltar?
Hello. Yes. Can you hear me at this point? I can hear you. Oh man,
You can't
guys.
hear me. Isn't this fun, everybody?
Zoltar?
Hello? Yes.
And now, of
Can you
course,
hear
we
me?
get the stream
I can
coming in
hear
from
you.
Soren's side.
Oh man, yes. Isn't this fun, everybody?
Okay, hold on. Alright. Can you hear me now, Zoltar?
Yeah, I can hear you. Still. Apparently, you still can't hear me.
Weird.
Isn't Skype
What's the
fun,
matter?
everybody?
Speakers are set to... Shoot. You know what? I'm going to call you on my phone.
Alright, sounds good.
That's the safest way.
He's not going to hear that, but it sounds good. Yes, and all my settings are just fine, and Skype is picking up my voice, so the problem isn't on my end. Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me
Hey.
now?
Yeah, I did the. I just installed Windows 10, and I think Skype then of course totally forgets what any of your playback or recording devices are. So
Of course.
I think that was the issue.
I mean, Skype is just a wonder of technology, so...
It works pretty good until you need it to work. But wow, that was quite the series.
Yeah, that was interesting.
I didn't even have time to pay attention to the fact that that was King Morgan. I was just assuming. I mean, he's a good player, so it could easily be him. I just didn't. I mean, I was just like panicking there at the end. That was a really tight game. That was definitely one of those situations where I was worried about who to buy. Right, like I saw that I could stretch myself to buy out. Was it Black Magic or Hydroponos who did the first buy?
It was Black Magic who got the first buy onto Hydroponos. And yeah, I saw you reaching for it, and you hovered at like 96% for a while.
Yeah, I just kept. The thing was, I think I actually had the red button, and then something happened. Either he paid down his debt, or I maybe did a bad launch where they kind of chewed up some of my money, or I don't know, and I kind of dropped down, and then he accelerated, and then I was afraid I'd almost actually lost my chance.
Right.
And in the meantime, I saw King Morgan, he kept creeping up, and so I was like, oh man, I'm going to buy, I guess, Black Magic, and then I'm going to get bought out myself. But well, it was close.
Right. Yeah, it was. You did not get punished in that last game. Nearly enough. I think there was, and we saw this mistake consistently during today, where Black Magic, I think, was the one who hit HQ level 5 when all the rest of you were on 3. which is a huge lead, right?
Yeah.
Then he goes for an Offworld, which I was like, all right, well, maybe he can get away with that because he's just got such a massive lead.
That was this game?
Yeah, that was this game.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he goes for a second Offworld, and it's like, oh no. You can't be doing that. Like, both Mutinies and Dynamite were available, and it's like, oh no. And it just fell apart from there.
Yeah, I think you got to consolidate your lead a little bit if you're the only player, because you know all three players are going to be targeting you at some point.
Exactly.
And I just loved it. You know, like I bought a network virus, and I was like, well, I'm going to use it. And then right then, someone else used network virus against his, you know, his Offworld, and I was like, oh, great. All right. Well, I know I'm going to be able to mutiny that later.
Right, which you did. Much to your benefit, I believe. Although you were launching food for a while when you really shouldn't have been, but that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I lost some money on that.
But I think the big thing that game was if Black Magic hadn't pushed to a second Offworld and he had just killed you instead, right? You end up with him, I think, just running away with everything at that point.
Say that again.
if Black Magic doesn't go 2 Offworlds, just goes 1 Offworld,
sure.
and then kills you.
Yep.
Because you were available to kill still at that point. Like, gets a lot more stock bought up. Because by the time you've pushed to HQ level 5 and pushed to 2 Offworlds, yeah, you kind of have a lead. But everybody else has done all the stock purchases. Everybody else has kind of secured themselves against getting killed off easily by then. It's just, it takes so long to make that happen that by the time Black Magic got those Offworlds built, there are only 3 stocks left and anybody else for him to purchase.
Yeah, I really like the pacing where it is right now, and I'm afraid, like, you know, just like little things bump it off, so Beta 7 might not be there, where you got these interesting gaps where, like, there's at level 4, you can upgrade to level 5, but you got to make sure you're protected in stock before you make that jump. You know,
unless everybody else is still level 3 apparently. But
yeah, sure. But, I mean, that happened over and over in the games where I was like, at level 4 I could upgrade, but I better buy 1 or 2 of my stocks because I'd be vulnerable when I hit level 5.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the Offworlds, where you got this choice, and I purposely decided not to go for the Offworld and instead to go for stock.
Yeah, and I noticed that.
5. I was like, as long as there's stock available, I actually think it's more valuable to buy the stock instead of the Offworld. And I bet it's debatable. You know, it just depends on the situation. Someone bought back half their shares.
Yeah, King Morgan bought back half their shares. And that's what made things really interesting, because I expected you to just kill King Morgan, right? But then he buys back his shares, and that gives you options all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah. That totally changed my game. That just... Yeah. Radically change everything. Because yeah, I mean, he would have been my buy, and I guess instead it was me and him at the end. So him buying back his shares, you know, ultimately let me buy out Black Magic. But of course, you know, I mean, I put a lot of money into him to buy those shares. Although actually, he wasn't he the one who was spiraling down? I'm getting the games mixed up now, perhaps.
No, he was not spiraling. He actually made a misstep, I think, because he had the great territory of this game. But then he was scared of the amount of debt it looked like he spent to acquire it.
Right.
And so he built a geothermal on HQ level 2, and then he was basically out of it from there for a long time. Right. Because you actually physically can't do that. Yeah. You just lose almost guaranteed unless something really crazy goes on with everybody else at that point. You're so far behind.
Right.
But yeah. That was a weird one, that last one. I really loved seeing, though, the idea that King Morgan buys his stock back, and suddenly that gives you options, and it almost gave him a path back into the game, effectively. Because it kind of pushed you into this weird place of, do I buy him? Do I not buy him?
Yeah. Well, it saved him. I mean, I think it was definitely a good move on his part. I mean, he almost won the game, right? So, I think he made the right choice.
So I love to see that mechanic kind of coming into things a bit more, you know? Like actually mattering just a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you just see that like the 4-player game is just like, in my opinion, it's such the most robust version of the game, you know, because you have to. It's not about. Generally speaking, you're not going to see a lot of sabotage cheese right at the beginning, you know. But at the same time, you know, when you got really good players, you're going to be pulling the leader back to the pack, and there's going to be a lot of jockeying, you know, and I think we saw that a lot in these games. I mean, they were all really close, if I remember. I think it was one where I think my first victory, I had a decent lead, but the rest of them were all super
pretty
close.
Good games, yeah. So that we don't make Blues, Cubit, and PB blow a gasket, finals. What do you want to do about those?
Well, I don't think my heart could take it.
Well, no, not right now. I can't do it today either. I mean, it's just not going to happen, you know. But
so, I mean, how about? Well, Cubit's the issue, kind of, right? Because he's European, right?
yeah, I can't do tomorrow if you want me around. For
Yeah.
it, just so
Okay.
you know.
All right. Well, should we just try for Monday lunchtime? Does that sound good?
Monday would work for me. Everybody else
Okay.
can chime in a little bit if they need something else to happen.
How about one Eastern time on Monday?
We'll just have to see what everybody else has to say. I'll be
got the
good,
10-second
but-
delay, I guess.
Yeah, I know. You always gotta wait for a little while.
Sure. Yeah. So, what did you think about Destroy Buyout in these 4 games?
Blue says he won't be around Monday. I don't know.
okay.
Destroy Buyout, I don't think it's as bad as everybody else, as people whine about, quite frankly. But I don't know if I like it better than the normal version of the game, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is this advantage of when you take a territory, you don't have to clean it up so much. But when you're talking about games between strong players, that's not really a concern, right? It more has to do with the idea of when there's a weak player in there, and I almost wonder if in-game you should get the option of I want their territory or I want to explode it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of basically maybe having it so that when you take someone out, you keep their territory, but literally just all their building when you buy them.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, like, you're kind of forced to rebuild, so you do have to. You know, there is a little bit of a slowdown, but I do like the fact that you have to make choices after a buyout.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and that's nice.
It's just that it's thematically it's still weird to me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
It is really
and
weird.
I don't know. It's a hard thing. I'm gonna be tweaking both versions of it. I'm gonna be in beta 7. I'm gonna be changing destroy a little bit. I think I'll do that thing where basically you keep the territory but the buildings blow up, and we'll see how people like that. And then I'm also in the normal mode. I think I'm gonna try something where basically, like, when you take someone over, all their buildings are on slowdown for 2 minutes. Or at least for the first for the first buyout, there'll be a little less for the second buyout, and a little less for the third buyout, and so on. So which is just sort of a slight rubber banding effect. And the other thing I want to change is, and this is a little more complicated, but I'm a little worried about majority buyout in that I think it solves one problem, but it's going to be introduced another one.
Right.
It solves the problem of The Walking Dead, right? Of, like, the player who has no chance and is still in the game and is therefore just going to be basically a kingmaker.
Right.
So that problem's solved. But the new problem is, like, well, the fact that you can go for a majority buyout means that if you get that early one, sometimes you do get just an unassailable lead.
Right.
So I'm thinking of doing is basically have it so once you get that majority, that the human is removed from the game. Like, they lose. But now that corporation is essentially becomes a subsidiary. It's taken over by the AI, and it doesn't expand, it doesn't claim anything, it doesn't build anything new. It just sort of keeps going and gives you kind of like a dividend every day. So basically, it's like it's in, what's that term they use in Britain? Well, whatever. You know, it's like a sort of like it's an automated player at this point,
Right.
and you can keep buying until you do the buyout. And in fact, another player could theoretically buy it out from you as well. But the point is the human's taken out of the loop. So the human is going to know that their game is over, and they're not going to be messing up the game. But it's not going to be this sudden, like, oh yeah, now you suddenly very early in the game are twice the size as everyone else.
Right.
So
That's an interesting idea to go along with majority buyout, yeah. Especially in a normal game, effectively.
Yeah. And I mean, it's still good. You get a majority buyout. You know, you've removed a real opponent, and you're going to be getting income from that HQ. And if you want, you can just keep finish up a buyout if you want to. It's just totally up to you. So anyway, just a thought. We should probably figure out the finals. Okay, so who said they weren't available?
Blues, I believe, said they weren't available on Monday.
I assume everyone's in the chat, so why doesn't everyone just say what days they're available next week?
Yeah. And if we needed to, I can do stuff like Saturday just fine, just not Friday.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think I can. I need to check the exact flight schedule, but it should be fine.
Game select. We haven't seen a single game yet where there have been 4 equally good players. I don't know. I felt like we had that today.
It's pretty close today, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like we had 4 very, very capable players today. I mean, I don't know how you get 4 quote-unquote equally capable players, right? I mean, I feel like we would have to take Qubit out of the loop and, whatever. I mean, it's just, it's kind of you'll never have that situation, so... But at any rate, I definitely do want more thoughts on Destroy Buyout on the forums. I do kind of, it's weird. I do think I've come to what you're saying, which is like, I think at the end of the day, most of these games would have played out basically the same, with or without it. I don't feel like it would have made a huge difference. It's just kind of like a question of like the game flow. Like, do you like? There's the advantage of being able to choose exactly what buildings you have, versus the other side. The advantage of control buyout is like when you buy someone, you're making a specific, you're making a tactical choice, right? I'm buying that guy because he's got an Offworld. Yeah. Buying that guy because he's got these specific claims. So because
he's got 8 solar panels and there's a flare going on right now and power's $300.
Yeah,
that happened recently. It was a weird game.
All right,
but yeah, it is kind of. Let's see. PB Head says he could be able to make almost any time work. Blues says not Monday. Okay. And Qubit says not super early on Tuesday.
Okay. How about we do 2:30 on Wednesday?
2:30 on Wednesday?
No, wait. Sorry. Let me think this through. Yeah, why don't we just do lunchtime on Wednesday?
All right. Would that be 1 on Wednesday then, ish, or 2:30? Noon Eastern on Wednesday.
Noon Eastern on Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, if that works for everybody, I can do that.
Should be fun. In sync. Basically, this tournament proved nothing about Destroy Buyout. Yeah, well, I mean, I think
that shows something in and of itself, quite frankly, about Destroy Buyout.
Which is what?
Well, I mean, just this basic idea of, did it change the game result frequently? How did people make their different decisions about who to kill based on the fact that it was Destroy compared to if it had been a normal buyout? So it showed what kind of value would Destroy have instead of the usual system, or the old system, if you want to put it that way. And how does it affect game flow? Because it's basically, like you were saying, that's what it comes down to. Do you almost turn buying someone into an accelerator or a speed bump, is what you're picking between.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's better as a speed bump, basically. I mean, to me, it just comes down to something. I think it's better as a slight speed bump, but I dislike the weird gaminess of it.
Right.
I mean, I think it's hard to make an argument that, like, there's something wrong. If anything, the issue with Destroy Buyout is that the speed bump for the person who does the second buy, right? Because
right.
You know, it's going to be just as painful for them. So, anyway, all right. So, has everyone said that? So, Blue said that to be fine. It's good with PB, and Qubit says, is he suggesting a different time? I can work with Wednesday noon. Okay, yeah, 2:30 gets a little too late for me on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's fine. Wednesday noon.
Okay.
Did Blues say anything about the time? I missed it. If he did, it says it should be fine. Okay, yeah, never mind. So we're good.
All right.
Sounds good. All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for casting. Any final thoughts?
Nope. I don't think so for the time being. I think I need to go and get some sleep. That's what I think right now.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, thanks for playing, everybody, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
All right. Sounds good.